She's talked about everything else. The Oscar nomination, leaving the Supremes, buried Gordy, married Wilson, the feuds, the gowns, the hits, the movies. 60 years of interviews and she'll discuss it all, with one exception. There's a performance Diana Ross will not talk about. Won't explain what happened, won't defend herself, won't even acknowledge the questions. Just silence. July 21, 1983, Central Park. A free concert. Diana Ross in front of 400,000 people. It should have been a triumph. Instead, it became the night everything went wrong in ways she still won't explain. The official story says weather ruined it, a storm, bad luck, acts of God. But people who were there remember something else. They remember what happened before the rain and what Diana did after. The silence is strange because Diana's never been shy about defending herself. When critics attacked her acting in Lady Sings the Blues, she fought back. When people questioned her voice, she proved them wrong. When Mary Wilson published that book, she had her people respond. She's a fighter, always has been. So why won't she fight about Central Park? What happened that night that's so bad she'd rather let people think the worst than tell her side? Here's what makes it complicated. Some people who were there say Diana was unprofessional, that she treated the crew badly, that she made impossible demands, that when things started falling apart, she blamed everyone except herself. Others say she was terrified, that the setup was dangerous, that she begged them to postpone and they refused, that what happened wasn't her fault, but she got blamed anyway because she was Diana Ross. And Diana Ross isn't allowed to be afraid. The performance was supposed to prove something. Diana, at 39, still relevant, still powerful, still capable of commanding hundreds of thousands. A free concert in Central Park, like Simon and Garfunkel had done. Historic, important, but it required everything going exactly right, and nothing went right. You want to know what she's protecting by staying silent? Maybe it's not what you think. Maybe the performance that night revealed something about Diana that contradicts the image she spent 60 years building. Maybe she looked weak when she's supposed to be strong. Maybe she lost control when control is all she has. Or maybe something happened that night that still hurts too much to discuss. The people who worked with Diana before and after Central Park noticed something changed. She got harder, more controlling, more demanding. Like she decided if she couldn't trust other people to do things right, she'd just control everything herself. The performance that won't be discussed might be the night Diana Ross learned she was alone, that when things fall apart, nobody's coming to save you, that the crowd who cheers can turn on you in seconds. But we're getting ahead. To understand what Diana won't talk about, you have to understand what Central Park was supposed to be. The triumph, the vindication, the moment that proved Diana Ross could still gather the masses, the concert that was supposed to make people forget the Supremes and remember only Diana. Instead, it became the thing she wishes everyone would forget. The concert was scheduled for July 21, 1983. One night, 400,000 people expected, the largest audience Diana had ever played to. Larger than any Supreme show. Proof that solo Diana was bigger than group Diana. The press built it up for weeks. Historic, unprecedented. Diana Ross claiming New York's most famous park for free. But the planning was chaos. The stage design kept changing. Diana wanted certain lighting that the engineers said wouldn't work outdoors. She insisted on wardrobe changes that required backstage facilities that didn't exist in the middle of a field. The rehearsals ran long. Equipment kept failing. The crew was exhausted before the show even started. People who were there during setup remember tension, Diana demanding, the technical director pushing back. Both of them right, both of them wrong. Weather forecasts showed possible storms. The question became whether to postpone. Diana wanted to wait. The promoters said no. Too many people expected. Too much money committed. Too much press. It had to happen. Diana's people say she begged them to reschedule. The promoters' people say Diana was being paranoid. The truth is, probably both. The show started late. Diana appeared in a white gown that caught every spotlight. The crowd roared. For the first 30 minutes, everything worked. Diana commanded that stage like she'd done 1,000 times before. Voice strong, presence undeniable. This was her gift. This was why she'd survived. Then the wind picked up. Not rain yet, just wind, but strong enough that Diana's microphone kept cutting out. Strong enough that the elaborate sets started swaying. Strong enough that you could see fear in Diana's eyes even from the back of the crowd. She kept performing. Professionals don't stop, but her voice betrayed her. The confidence cracked. She started rushing through songs, skipping planned banter, just trying to get through it before everything fell apart. The rain started during the 5th song. Light at first. Diana tried to make it romantic, dancing in the rain, embracing it. But it got heavier. The stage got slippery. The sound system started failing. And Diana started losing it. Not dramatically, not a breakdown. Just you could see her realizing this was becoming a disaster and there was nothing she could do to stop it. Here's what the official accounts won't tell you. Diana begged them to stop the show, told the stage manager it was dangerous, that people could get hurt, that the electrical setup wasn't safe in this weather. They told her to keep going, told her 400,000 people were watching, told her she'd look weak if she quit. So she kept going, even though she knew it was wrong. 45 minutes in, they finally stopped it. Too dangerous to continue. Diana left the stage soaking wet, makeup running, gown ruined. The crowd waited. Some left, most stayed. They wanted to see if Diana would come back. They wanted to know if she'd finish. The question became whether this was just a weather delay or whether Diana Ross had just failed in the most public way possible. The decision got made for her. The storm got worse. Lightning, real danger. They evacuated the park. The concert was over. Incomplete, unfinished, a disaster. And Diana reportedly went back to her hotel and cried. Not because of the storm, because of what she knew people would say, that she couldn't handle it, that she wasn't professional, that if this had been Barbra Streisand or Liza Minnelli, they would have found a way. But Diana Ross quit. The press destroyed her. Reviews called it amateur hour, said the production was sloppy, that Diana seemed unprepared, that she'd oversold her ability to command that kind of crowd. Some critics implied she'd gotten too big for her talent, that Central Park exposed the gap between Diana's image and Diana's reality. She was style without substance, glamour without grit, a diva who couldn't deliver when it mattered. Diana's team scrambled. They announced a second show, free, to make up for the failed first night. Diana would finish what she started, prove she wasn't a quitter. The second concert was scheduled for July 22, tomorrow. One day to fix everything that had gone wrong. One day to rescue her reputation. But here's what nobody talks about. That second show wasn't Diana's idea. She didn't want to do it. She'd had enough. She wanted to leave New York, wanted to forget the whole thing. Her team convinced her, told her she had no choice. That if she didn't come back, the narrative would be that Diana Ross failed and ran, that her career might not survive that story. So she came back, not because she wanted to, because she had to. The second night had 300,000 people, smaller than the first but still massive. Clear weather, no storms, everything that could be controlled was controlled. Diana performed like her life depended on it, because in some ways it did. She did every song, every costume change, every moment she'd planned. 2.5 hours, flawless. The crowd loved it. The press called it redemption. Diana Ross had proven she could deliver. But Diana never talked about what it cost her. That second performance took something from her that she never got back. The joy, maybe. The ease. The part of her that used to trust that things would work out. People who worked with Diana after Central Park say she changed, got more controlling, wouldn't delegate, insisted on approving every detail of every show because if she didn't control it, it might fall apart like Central Park did. If you're the kind of person who needs to understand what's beneath the headlines, what gets protected by silence, there's space for you here. We're not going anywhere. The official story frames the second concert as a triumph, Diana's comeback, her redemption. But redemption implies you did something wrong, and Diana's refusal to discuss it suggests she doesn't think she did anything wrong, that the disaster wasn't her fault, that she was set up to fail by people who didn't properly prepare, that the triumph everyone celebrates is really just evidence of how alone she was, that she had to save herself because nobody else would save her. Here's the part that might explain the silence. Maybe Diana won't discuss Central Park because the real story makes her look weak, not professionally, emotionally. Maybe she was terrified that night. Maybe when the storm hit and the stage got dangerous, Diana wanted to run. Maybe the diva image she's cultivated for 60 years doesn't allow space for that kind of fear. Maybe she can't admit that Central Park scared her because Diana Ross isn't supposed to be scared of anything. Or maybe it's simpler than that. Maybe Diana won't talk about it because Central Park was the night she realized nobody really cared about her safety. They cared about the show, about the money, about the press, about whether Diana Ross could deliver. But Diana the person, the woman on that stage in the rain begging them to stop before someone got hurt, that Diana didn't matter. And maybe that's a truth too painful to say out loud. The silence has protected Diana. By not engaging with the story, she's prevented it from becoming a defining moment. Most people today don't even know about Central Park. It's not in her highlight reel, not in the documentaries, not in the tributes. It's been erased through the simple act of Diana refusing to acknowledge it exists. That's power too, the power to decide what gets remembered. But the silence has also trapped her, because refusing to discuss it means the worst interpretations stand unchallenged. The people who say she was unprofessional, Diana's silence looks like an admission. The people who say she couldn't handle the pressure, her refusal to defend herself seems like confirmation. By protecting herself from having to relive it, Diana has allowed the cruelest versions to persist. People who love Diana have theories about why she won't talk. Some think she's protecting other people, that discussing Central Park would require blaming the production team, and Diana doesn't want to damage careers even decades later. Others think she's protecting her own legacy, that the real story would reveal vulnerabilities she spent her life hiding. The most interesting theory is that Diana won't talk because she's still angry, not at specific people, at the system, at the way Black women entertainers were expected to be superhuman, to never complain, to handle whatever was thrown at them with grace, to risk their lives if necessary because the show must go on. Maybe Diana's silence is rage. Maybe refusing to discuss it is her way of saying she doesn't owe anyone explanations for surviving. What we know for certain is that Central Park changed Diana's relationship with live performance. She became more careful, more controlling. Her tours after 1983 were meticulously planned, every contingency accounted for, every risk minimized. She'd learned that trust was dangerous, that leaving anything to chance meant leaving herself vulnerable. Central Park taught Diana Ross that she had to protect herself because nobody else would. The performance she refuses to discuss might be the most important performance of her career, not because of what happened on stage, because of what it revealed about what stardom costs. Central Park was supposed to prove Diana was still relevant, still powerful. Instead, it proved she was alone. That when everything falls apart, you're alone on that stage. The crowd that came to worship can turn on you. The team that's supposed to support you will prioritize the show over your safety. Maybe Diana won't talk about Central Park because talking about it would require admitting that even Diana Ross gets scared, that even icons feel helpless sometimes, that the image of control and power and invincibility is partly a performance, that there was a night in 1983 when Diana Ross stood in the rain and wanted to quit and couldn't because Diana Ross isn't allowed to quit. Maybe the silence is the only honest thing about Central Park, because what else can you say about the night you realized your legend was a prison? Some stories don't resolve. Some silences carry more weight than explanations ever could. If this way of listening to history feels like where you belong, if you recognize that the things left unsaid matter as much as what gets spoken, you're part of something that doesn't need to be named. We'll keep the space open.